Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, where right now we are still chopping above this 0.786 Fibonacci level, sitting at about 65.5K for the Bitcoin price. Now, as I said in yesterday's video, I'm just expecting some choppy sideways price action over the weekend, which is what we have seen so far, and I continue to expect this over the next day or two until the markets open up again on Monday, especially because over the weekend the Bitcoin ETFs are not trading, so therefore there is much lower volume in the market. And you can see that at the bottom of the screen right now, where the volume really drops off over the weekend. This is quite normal to see. So even though we are currently still holding this as a level of support, be careful for potential fake outs, for example, to the downside, to just grab some liquidity here and then just move back above this level of support. So that is something to kind of watch out for during this weekend here. Although if we now start trading below this level of support for the rest of the weekend here, then we should say like, okay, we have now actually lost this as a level of support. For example, if you get a daily candle close below this and on Sunday as well, and then we could potentially start looking for lower price action for Bitcoin here. For example, down to this Fibonacci golden pocket sitting between 62,000 and 62.7K, which I am expecting to be a strong level of support, considering that we had a bunch of price action around this level here recently, where we basically traded right on top of it, held it as support, and then blasted off to the upside. Overall, just looking at the trend here for Bitcoin, obviously we're still just making higher highs and higher lows in the Bitcoin price on this 4-hour time frame. And recently we also made a higher high on the 1-day time frame. Now you may notice here that I have a white line all the way up to about 75,000 US dollars here. And typically I use these white lines as potential price targets, in this case for a double bottom or W pattern that has already broken out above here. But I think it is a little bit crazy to really see this as an active price target right now, considering that we are still trading inside this descending channel for Bitcoin. Feel free to use that price target if you want and you really want to see this as a W pattern that broke out to the upside here. But at least for me personally, I am really waiting to see an actual breakout above this descending channel, which currently, as of the time of recording, is sitting at about 67.3K for the Bitcoin price. And do keep in mind that this does trend down over time. Now, if we really start to see a confirmed breakout above this previous high here at about 68.4K, then I think it becomes very likely that we are going to grab this big level of liquidity to the upside, sitting at about 72,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. So if we see that confirmed breakout above the descending channel here, and just above this previous high in general, then we would likely finally end up taking out this big level of liquidity here that I have been talking about for a long time on the channel, and I will show it here later in the video as well. For now, we do need to consider some other levels of support and resistance for Bitcoin though, because right now we're trading inside a big level of resistance, sitting between 65,000 and 66,000. If we really start to see a breakout above 66K here, then I think it becomes very likely that we head up somewhere close to this next big level of resistance here, setting from about 68,000 all the way up to 70,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. Although we could see some short-term resistance here on these previous lows in the Bitcoin price right here. So that is just something to just keep in mind as well. This is currently sitting at about 67.5K. Although I must say, out of all the times that we've been at the top of the channel here, this one is actually looking the most promising in my personal opinion. Because for example, if we take a look at the 1 week time frame and then look at the RSI momentum indicator for Bitcoin, this is actually breaking out to the upside as we speak. And the further this moves away from this 50 level here, the more bullish the momentum is going to become on the 1 week time frame. And do keep in mind that there's a difference between the different time frames. This is the 1 week time frame, but of course on the lower time frames, even if there is a high time frame 1 week, for example, uptrend, there can still be smaller downtrends in that higher time frame uptrend. So that is just something to remember. And if you want to learn more about how technical analysis actually works, I will leave a link in the video description to my free trading course where I basically give some education on the basics of technical analysis. So go check that out if that is something that you're interested in. Either way, the reason I say that this time it's looking more promising is because this RSI is breaking out from a long-term downtrend. We're talking about over 6 months of downtrend here that we are now reversing from. And you may remember that over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about this RSI breakout quite a lot. And so far, this is still really looking like a strong breakout. Although, as I've said many times before, I do think it is possible that we do something like this, where we first get another move down before then seeing much higher levels for the RSI, if we do not break out of the descending channel sometime soon, because then it will start to look like weakening in the momentum. Or for example, if you get something like we saw here, where you get a wick outside or you get a wick to the upside with a big move down after that, like you saw right here, this would be considered a rejection from the top of the descending channel, which would make it more likely that we are going to reverse here and then see lower price action for Bitcoin once again. But as I've said, yeah, basically so far so good. We aren't really seeing any signals of a reversal here. Earlier in this video, I talked about the liquidity sitting at about 72K. This is what I'm talking about. There's a big level of over $3.5 billion worth of short liquidations that will happen if the Bitcoin price reaches about 72.3K. And my base case expectation is that at some point we are going to take out this big level of liquidity. I don't know if it will be this time, but so long as we keep trading inside this descending channel, then my base case expectation is that at some point we are going to break out above here and then finally take out this big level of liquidity here. So I do think, so long as we keep trading inside the range, that at some point we are going to see 70K for the Bitcoin price once again. And I know that right now this might seem like, yeah, okay, doesn't seem to be too far away from that level, so doesn't seem that important. But I've been talking about this for like 4 or 5 months at this point, even when we were all the way down here and we got this massive wick all the way down to 49K for the Bitcoin price, and everyone was saying the bull market was basically over and we're going to go down to 30K or whatever that people were saying at the time. I said at that time, and I said it here recently as well, we haven't lost this descending channel as a level of support, and therefore my base case expectation remains the same. So long as we keep trading inside the range, we can go to the bottom of the range where we were at the time, and we can go to the top of the range. And now we obviously shot up to the top of the range. Therefore, this trading strategy seems to have played out very well over the last couple months. So I'm very happy to have shared this live on YouTube with you guys. Although, of course, like I said, it isn't financial advice, but I am just sharing my technical analysis and sharing what I'm seeing in the charts, and you can do with that information what you like. Lastly, I do want to show you guys these Bitcoin ETFs. I talked about it yesterday here a little bit, like, are the Bitcoin ETFs too bullish? Because, for example, right here, when we got this wick to the upside, at this time, we saw some massive inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs. For example, at the very top here, I believe it was either this top or it was this one right here, but we saw $1 billion worth of net inflows in a single day here. There's kind of a running joke here on the channel that the Bitcoin ETF investors get it exactly wrong, and therefore when they flip extremely bullish or they flip extremely bearish, it is a bit of a signal for me personally. Now, don't take it too seriously, but 2 days ago, we saw a net inflow of about $400 million. And then yesterday, we saw a net inflow of close to $500 million. So we're seeing massive inflows into these Bitcoin ETFs. And that really does make me wonder, like, is this going to be another one of those cases where they get it exactly wrong? I will leave that completely up to you. I did create a poll about a day or two ago, and most people are saying that we are going to get this breakout here. So most people are bullish in this case. So time will tell. This has been today's market update. Don't forget to subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss any important updates. And like I said, if you're interested in learning technical analysis, so maybe you can understand my videos a bit better, or just want to learn more about how to trade, in that case, go to the video description and check out the free trading course in there. Either way, if you do end up checking it out or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.